Well, I would like to talk a little bit more on the use value and consumption. As I said, actually, I mean, last time I have especially mentioned the prices, but beyond the price mechanism, according to Marx, the basic structure, basic trends, basic outcomes of the economic system depends on the way production is organized. You might say also supply is organized because production and supply is where the society as a whole interacts and creates a system, while consumption is private and it is not something that is functioning at social level. Rather, it is happening at individual level, and that's why Marx was thinking it is a secondary aspect. The production and the way it functions was the more important element of the economic system. Uh, well, in mainstream economics, on the other hand, consumption is and the concepts related to consumption, especially use value, are critical, and they introduce those elements into the economics. Uh, and kind of, I mean, that type of that tradition in economics, based on the base starts with the individuals with fixed preferences that are not influenced from anyone else and environment, or if it is influenced, we don't care. We assume that influence is not important. We can just ignore it. We can start with fixed preferences, and then we from that point on, we describe how these individual preferences lead to certain market outcome. Uh, I think introduction of the marginal utility and the demand is an important contribution of the mainstream or the neoclassical economics, certainly. And demand is further looked upon at macro level by the Keynesian economics as well. However, well, these are my personal beliefs, but let me just mention them. I believe consumption in many ways is also social thing. It's actually also social interaction, social structure uh, is affecting a lot the way consumption is happening, and as a result, well, this actually determines which goods that are which type of goods are provided to us as by the economic system. It is not like that economic system is kind of blind and it just takes the goods that are actually preferred by us, and it doesn't affect our preferences. Rather, the system itself affects our preferences also, in my opinion. And to introduce the social aspect of consumption will make the analysis or research of consumption deeper and more beneficial, in my opinion. Those are my opinions, and I think consumption as a concept should be studied in a different way in economics. But you might have your own opinions, and this is a little bit radical opinion, even considering Marxian economics view. So I have mentioned it, and I'm passing it. So how does Marx solve water and diamond products? He solves it in this way. He says water is cheap because it's easier to find water. Diamond is more expensive because it's more difficult to find diamonds. I mean, it takes more labor to find diamonds. Okay. Now we can start looking into the role of money. I mean, how Marx is actually looking money, and the chapters of Marx, the Capital on money might be most confusing ones because some comparisons he made, but also he Marx wrote the Capital at a different era. And money was functioning differently at that era. Money was not functioning like it is functioning now at that era. And briefly, I will mention the difference. If you have seen ever Monetary Story, you might know a little bit and you might a little bit have some guesses. So, history of money, and we should mention that, and I will mention at which stage Marx was standing. Well, at first, commodities, I mean things that are that have separate use values. I mean things that could be useful, would be used by people, even if they are not used as money, were used as money. What does it mean used as money? For example, let me again take the pen. I can use this pen for writing, but I can also think it this way. I mean, this pen is if this pen is something that all people are accepting, they like it, and they want to. Everyone needs pen. Everyone is willing to buy a pen. In that case, if I produce something that is not demanded by everyone that much, in that I can buy first pen with it, even if I have enough pen to use anyway, I might still use some extra pens, pens, because I know for whatever I want to buy, I can use this pen to get that thing. So in a way, when I get this pen, actually what I want to buy is something else. But when I sell what I produce, I can that the person who wants to buy what I produce cannot give me what I want, but they can give me pen, because everyone stores a lot of pens because they know people will accept pen for what they produce when they buy. So money is in a way something like that. I mean, people store them not only because they are useful in ordinary life for consumption, but they are also useful. They are also necessary or make it easier make the exchange process easier for them. For example, of course, now when you have money, actual money, that money is not useful in any way. I mean, you don't use it for personal needs. You just keep it in your pocket and you use it for exchange. I mean, in addition to the money has no use in addition to buy what you want to buy. And if no one would accept that money from you to exchange what you want, in that case, I mean, that paper money would be pretty much useless. Well, it could have some certain use, but it would be very inferior use. I mean, it's just a paper, and it will have a use value of the paper. So at first stages, the commodities that are used as money had use values, so they had their usefulness. The metals had their usefulness; they could be melted, and certain stuff could be made by them, like knives, pots, things like that. Cows were useful, and for nomadic people, usually cows were things everyone were willing to accept, or animals were something that everyone was willing to accept. So if they want to buy something from the people, they could easily give cows or hens or other types of animals, especially nomadic people. However, of course, I mean, animals are difficult to divide. I mean, you cannot give a half of chicken to a person unless the chicken is dead. But once agriculture was done, the society has started to make agriculture. Grains have become the first type of commodity that was also used as money, because everyone needed grain. I mean, you could eat other things, but bread is still something everyone needs, and that's the thing for most of the story. that keep people from being hungry. So when you give grain for something you want to buy, everyone will be willing to accept it. Basically, in time, metals have taken the place of the grains, especially because they are endurable. Grains are also endurable; they can endure for a long time, but metals can be even longer, endurable for a longer time. And they can take different shapes. You can actually melt them and give them a different shape. Especially the metals that were rare to find. Gold, silver are examples today, but once for a long time in history, iron was also a very valuable metal. Its value was per gram was as high as silver. So they were used as the valuable metals. Well, today, of course, when the money becomes rare, still certain commodities are used as the money. For example, in prisons, cigarettes are used between children who also don't have that much money available for them. In Turkey, soccer cards. In United States, baseball cards are used like money to get what they want from each other. Well, in time, when metals become to be used as money, there was a need to make to assure the weight and the purity of the metals, because you could easily mix gold with some other less valuable metals. And actually, pure gold is very, very soft, as far as I know. So to make it harder, actually, you need other metals. But of course, when you add other metals, its value goes down. But the ordinary people are not experts and cannot know the purity or the weight of gold. So when people have gold, I mean, it's difficult for them to make. I mean, the people who would take their gold as money would need to make assure that should find a way to test the purity and the weight of the gold they receive from that person. So in time, instead of doing that, the people who have gold start to bring their gold to the states. The first state that does that was Lydia, but Persian Empire has spread this to the whole empire, and Greek states, even the smallest ones, start to do that. They start to take the gold or silver, they stamp, they test it, their purity, and then they cut it to the pieces with fixed amount of weight, and then they stamp it. And once they stamp, that state guarantees that gold piece has a certain weight or weight and purity. So just as note for you, when you look to the coinage, you find mostly there are some. I mean, this surface is not smooth. There are small, you might say, teeth on that surface. Why are those teeth there? Because when people had those coinage at first, and at first the surface was smooth, they just scrap just a little bit of the metal from its round surface, like this. I mean, you just take a little metal from the round surface and then melt it and then make gold. In that case, you will have both the metal, and the money.